Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
sorry, the line went off.
We're right back to the interview. So you were talking about your, you being in the cotton ecosystem and some other things you've been doing. Still,
Yes, so
yeah.
as WACOT, like I said, we were into cotton some 20 years back until cotton production went down. So we moved on to some other crops. WACOT, that is West African Cotton Company Limited, changed just to WACOT instead of West African Cotton, and we now went into maize, rice, cotton, mostly supporting still those who remained in cotton, sesame, and soya. In all this, what we do is a complete value chain approach from seeds to agro inputs to extension to market access and the buyback program for the farmers. Today, we probably say that we have over 50,000 farmers across each of these value chains doing different types of activity and in different locations. Then WACOT also continues doing some other agri-commodities for export. So that is WACOT. Then we have Wafil, an agro-processing company in Shagamu doing vegetable oil out, and this is a multi-seed factory. When I say multi-seed, it processes all the oil seeds you can think of that are available in Nigeria in order to put out vegetable oil, because Nigeria, we have found out, is actually vegetable oil short in its consumption. So it's actually a way to reduce the input bill of food. We set up WACOT rice in Kebbi. WACOT rice is involved in cultivating rice and processing it. Today, after about 5 years and 6 years, let's say, in the process, we have taken the foremost position, the foothold position in Nigeria as the foremost rice company, doing production of over 240,000 metric tons of paddy, and probably we also claim to be the largest rice mill in Africa. This is also there. Then we have a fertilizer blending company. We are operating the Edo State Fertilizer Blending Company in Hauchi, the only compound blending plant in Nigeria. This is just producing fertilizers. So we do compound blend of fertilizers that are crop-specific, soil-specific, and probably region-specific. And since we started this in 2018, we've actually been moving in leaps and bounds. We're thinking of a way to expand this to cover more than just Nigeria, because being the only compound blending plant, we can produce specific blends. And as you know, Nigeria has changed from being an importer of fertilizers to probably a global player in the sector, and is looking forward to being the foremost supplier of urea, at least in the African continent, and will soon be able to cover the rest of the world. So this is how it's happening.
Okay. I mean, thank you so much, because a lot of people, when they look at Nigeria, they say, "Oh, what is really going on there? A lot is not going on." But with all you have said, with your group, the TIG group, the TGI group, a lot is going on. I want you to say the direct impact of all of these your activities on the farmers and the things you've done to be able to upgrade farmers in Nigeria.
Okay, Rufai, thank you very much. You see, unlike many people who have been involved with farmers in this country, and also against all general media understanding that farmers have not been doing well, we don't want to say that. First of all, there is no better partner in the Nigerian economy than the rural farmer. We know that, we understand that. We've practiced it, we've seen it happening. And what do we give to the farmer? First of all, like I said, when we go into an area or any of our crops, the first thing we do is to understand the nature of the terrain and the people behind it. And our understanding of the Nigerian farmer is that first and foremost, he's a progressive person. He's interested in expanding his crops. He's interested in also making a living. He's interested in earning and getting out of the poverty vicious circle that he has been put in. So he, as a person also, we understand he's a very honest person. The rural farmer, regardless of location in this country, is a very honest person. So all these hype and stories that farmers, when they collect loans or when they collect items, they don't pay back and so on, is not true. For the last 5 years of our experience in outgrower scheme in Nigeria, we have averaged 98.6% recovery rate. 98.6% recovery rate. And these are the same rural farmers that everybody keeps saying, oh, they don't pay. And then the risk goes high. So the banks get scared and everybody runs away from supporting the rural farmer. This we have been doing, and we have been doing it very well. We have also seen a situation where, because of the support we get from the farmer and because of the support we put on the table, we have seen the productivity on the land and the farmer in many cases has doubled in the last 5 years. Let's take, for instance, rice when we started it in Kebbi. The average production in a hectare of land is just about 2 tons per hectare of paddy. Today, our farmers are averaging 4 tons per hectare. So that's good.
How are you able to achieve? How are you able to achieve that?
Good practices, very good practices. You see, the farmer is why is his production low? His production is low because, number one, he doesn't have an assured supply of inputs. He doesn't have a support in terms of preparing his land. He doesn't have the support in terms of information on the right times to do the right things. You understand? If all of these things are in place, he is given his inputs at the right time. He is given the advice of when to plant, when to weed, when to do this, when to do all of those things, and he does them right. When to harvest, how to how to protect his crops from wastages after harvest, post-harvest losses. He does a very good job. And for us who are eventual buyers of the finished produce that we will process, we will also teach him how best to keep those produce so that the machines that are going to process them would be happy also, so that I am able to produce the best quality rice rather than taking everything with trash and so on. So the farmer is happy to do that. I hope you understand what I'm saying.
Yes, I get you. So it's just those cultural changes, and those cultural...
Exactly. Practices, the change in practices. If he gets the right inputs at the right time and he's trained, one of the first things we always do is immediately we get to a community, we put them through series of trainings, one of which is farmer business school. I mean, we don't want him to start thinking he's just a tool. He's a businessman. We teach them group formation, and then they form themselves into groups, into cooperatives. We try to get access to give them access to the technology that is available. Today, one of our key challenges is the penetration in terms of technology. the rural farmer doesn't, for instance, have access to internet wherein he would understand what is the climatic change to expect, when it's going to rain, and so on. But then when we have them in groups, this information is disseminated to the group, so he knows when to spread his fertilizer so that it gives him the maximum maximum yield or support that he wants. We teach him when not to spray, because if he does and it rains, the rains will wash away the inputs and then it will be useless. You understand?
Yes.
So he knows these things. And then not too long ago, we started a financial inclusion program. The financial inclusion program is to say that, look, the farmer has been left out in the technologies of today. He's in the rural area, probably 50, 60 kilometers from the nearest bank. So what does he require? Why does he have to put his money in the bank when he can't even reach it when he wants it? And we now thought of a process, and then the banks would have this fantastic KYC setting that has been established by their regulator. He must have a utility bill, he must have an ID card, he must have a paper that will show that he's living in a rented apartment or something. The village farmer lives in his own house, he's not renting. He doesn't have electricity that gives him electricity, so there would be no NEPA bill or water bill. He digs his well or digs his borehole and gets his own water. So how does he get a utility bill? He has a prepaid line that he only scratches the card and puts it. So, Airtel or MTN or all the service providers know him only because he puts in a recharge card. But they don't give him any paper to show that he is the owner, and so the bank will recognize him. What did we do? We approached the organization, NIMSI, that gives NIN certificates to people. And we took them to the rural areas. They sat there for several weeks registering our farmers and giving them NIN numbers. With your NIN number and your NIN certificate, you can go to the bank and start the process of KYC. That will now take you to have a BVN. Once you have a BVN, you can open a bank account. The next thing is, how do we solve the problem of cash availability in the rural area? This is another opportunity for the banks and financial inclusion systems to go to these rural areas, recruit young men, convert them to money agents, give them POS cards, go around probably on a periodic basis, twice a week, once a week, either mop up cash from them or replenish their cash requirement. That's what is happening. Rural banking has taken another turn entirely. You can then imagine, if I am buying produce from these people, my cash requirement to meet with them in their villages, hand over cash in this era of insecurity, becomes high and unsustainable. But if they have bank accounts, we collect their produce, credit their account, instantly they see an alert. You want part of the cash, your POS person, money agent is next to you. You can sit with him and give him all the list of people with their bank accounts that you want to pay your debt, and they also get an alert immediately, and then you take the little cash that you need for your weekly activity, and that's it. And that reduces my problems of having to handle cash all this while.
Okay, so pretty much with this analogy, you've been able to build an ecosystem among farmers using all sorts of methods, sort of like taking the evangelism, to them. So, but why is it still a challenge for us to be able to get very productive agri outcomes out of Nigeria? I mean, when we talk about Nigeria, we compare ourselves with countries like Netherlands that have small portions of land, but they are able to get tons and tons of millions of dollars out in outcome. How can Nigeria grow agriculturally and get those better outcomes?
I think you shouldn't be comparing us with countries like the Netherlands. Very small population, very small tracts of land. We have abundant land, we have large population. So why don't we not start comparing apples with oranges, but start comparing apples with apples? Let's say compare ourselves with countries like India, for instance. Of course, India is much larger in terms of land size and population. Compare ourselves with Indonesia. Compare ourselves with maybe Pakistan. Compare ourselves
but all those
with
countries
Thailand.
you mentioned have better agricultural outcomes than us, that we have all the big land and everything.
That is the problem. No, it's not true. The average farmer output is similar. It's quite similar. The issue is the volumes that they do, the depth. What we need to do is, like you said, replicate this issue that we have been doing, these things that we have been doing, replicate them over and over again. This country is large enough for all of us to do the same thing in our different localities. Once we are able to do that, TGI cannot do it alone. Let others also get into this same thing and build the same ecosystems and be able to do it. Once we start doing that, we'll be able to get those volumes that we are looking for. Today, Nigeria has enough processing capacity to feed itself on rice. But the paddy available is not there. We have about 3 times the processing capacity that is this thing. So the paddy is not there. Can we, for instance, keep encouraging people? And I keep saying, with our abundant population, it is not large-scale, commercial, technology-driven agriculture that is going to solve our problem. If you put one tractor on the land, you probably make 12 people lose their job. Why should we do that? We need those people to be active. So let's not remember that we have to do tractorization. Why don't we do what we call appropriate technology? Can we do labor, not labor saving, but maybe...
But can we use that to compete effectively in the wilder world that is using a lot of science and technology and they're getting ahead?
But you know, Rufai, that the wider world today, even if, for instance, they are buying highly scientific produce, the wider world is also turning natural. Is going back natural, going organic. The soybean we produce in Nigeria is completely non-GMO. So when you sell the soybean meal in the world, it attracts a premium for being non-GMO as against Brazilian soya or the US soya that comes into the market. When you want to produce animal feed, I get a premium producing non-GMO soya meal out of Nigeria. You understand?
Yeah.
So, I mean, we have to make our own choices. They may be difficult, but then we need to look at what do we really want to do. Do we want to save menial effort by going scientific and then getting people unemployed? Are they ready? Are we ready? No, we are not. Let's start from somewhere. Let's create more jobs. Let people be in the farm. Look, let me tell you something. Why don't we focus, for instance, today on making the youth that are very mobile, very active, and of course, demographically the largest segment of the population back into agriculture? Let us prove to them that agriculture is as good as any other thing that they can do.
How can we bring the youth into agriculture?
Other jobs not being available.
So how can we bring them into agriculture? Because they are looking at the outcomes that are as a low.
Let me give you this typical thing thing that also has happened in the area where we're doing party. And I'll give you the economics. Today, a simple youth in Kebbi who has finished university, for instance, and can't find a government job, which is the type of job he is looking for, having got a degree, gets a piece of land, 1 hectare, and through our support system and the support system we created in the group that they have, he's able to prepare his land. He gets the necessary inputs, and they do the group activity to support him with labor so that he can prepare the land and do all the necessary things. At the end of the day, he probably has an obligation of maybe about 320 to 350,000 naira for that 1 hectare of land. This constitutes his inputs requirement, his labor that he would have paid, which in his farmer business school he's taught how to calculate all those things. And at the end of the day, he produces 4 tons of paddy. That 4 tons is equivalent to about 1.2 to 1.3 million naira of proceed if he sells it in the market. In the open market, let me even not say selling it to me or to any. If he sells it in the open market, he gets about 1.2. Let's take the minimum, 1.2 million tons at 300,000 naira per ton. Are you with me?
Yes, I'm with you.
Then he nets out what he has spent to produce that 4 tons, 350. Let's even max it out to 350. He still would have close to 800,000 naira as his profit. Now, he doesn't need to now go over maybe to borrow more money to do it. And this, let's assume, is in the dry season. What we have found out, for instance, the dry season starts sometime in November and ends maybe latest by April. Do you understand?
Yeah.
So he has some spare cash in his hands. By April, he can prepare his land and wait for the rainy season to begin sometime in June. So he has a break of about a month and a half to 2 months. And then he starts the process all over again. Now, the economics also is that in the wet season, where he has little control over some of the available natural resources, for instance, rain, he may not be able to control the way the rain comes. So he might have a poor chance of having flood or a drought. So at the end of the day, we have seen over the years, his productivity would not be up to 4 tons, but it would probably be 3 tons. And at the end of the season in October, he sells his 3 tons and makes 900,000. But remember, in this case, he doesn't have any outstanding debt, so to say, because if he likes, he can actually pay for his inputs. He doesn't even have to borrow from me. You understand?
Yes.
So if he nets 800,000 with 900,000, that's 1.7 million. Tell me which graduate makes 1.7 million in a year now in this country.
So are you also accounting for the levels of insecurity, the fact that there could be clashes that affect his farm? What if his crop fails? What if all of those ones happen? Who buffers all of that for him?
Okay, first of all, let's talk about what if his crop fails. We have taught him in farmer business school how to insure. In that 350,000 that I told you is his cost includes crop insurance. So that is taken care of. It's a risk. Nobody should just discount it like that and assume it's not going to happen. Yes, it does happen. Yes, insecurity is prevalent in most parts of the Northwest. I agree with you. And if he's doing it in probably some other regions, probably he gets the same risk that he may not be able to do. But we have also seen, and this is generally the case, most farmers, when they do these things in groups, they are able to secure themselves. The communities are not just folding their arms and waiting for security all the time from government. They set up security-conscious groups. They also set up vigilantes that would help in securing themselves. We've had experiences in some particular areas of the Northwest, for instance, in Zamfara, where they can't do. But then for me, Zamfara is not a rice-producing state as much as Kebbi is, or as much as Sokoto, Rima Basin area is, where you have all the Goronyo projects. These places, even the kidnappers don't bother to go because they are waterlogged. It will take them, a difficult terrain to be able to escape, even if they go. And party is not something that you go like maize, where in the night you can go with your truck and harvest it for the farmer and escape with it. It doesn't happen like that. So we are also supposed to encourage local government, state government, and support the federal government in getting all these things in place. Yes, we can't continue to wait for security to improve before we go back to the farms, because hunger will always drive you out anyway.
All right. I mean, you've said so much, and I know the TGI is a private group, but there are a lot of people that might be listening now that they're excited about agriculture, that they want to go into it. Is there like a channel, to reach you guys for this support you were talking about, or is only farmers nucleated in a certain part of the country?
Okay. First of all, we have an agro input division that sells agro inputs to the public. So if yours is maybe to trade in agricultural inputs, we have our doors open. We are setting up what we call agri centers, workout agri centers, wherein they become aggregation units for training, and units where all the inputs can be sold. So we're doing that. Then in those crops of interest to us, we are always open for partnerships and are always interested in discussing with people who want to promote it. We are also, please take this, and this is very important, we are also ready to show people how it is done so that they can go and replicate it elsewhere. I have heard situations where banks are unable to recover loans that they have given under all the intervention programs of government. They have been unable to recover. How are they unable to recover as banks, whereas as a private company, I'm recovering 98%? So they need to come and learn how it is done. Of course, it's not easy. I'm not saying it is. It took us a number of years to perfect it to this level, but then we shouldn't hold the monopoly of knowledge and say that we are not going to share it with anybody. We want these things replicated because Nigeria is a great country and we have to continue to build it to become greater.
Okay, thank you so much, and I really say a very big thank you, because I know somebody listening to this
Thank you so much.
will have been greatly inspired, and it's going to help promote Nigeria and make Nigeria a whole lot better, and help us achieve greatness across board also in the agricultural value chain. Thank you so much for your time, and definitely I know when this hits